And to cover off the local issues of the week or the day is Christchurch Mayor Phil Mauger. Hello to you, nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you, bud. Good to see you again.
Let's discuss the Canterbury Museum has revealed it's got a $40 million budget blowout on construction. Phil, I've got to ask the question, why does it seem like every public sector project so often struggles to stay within budget?
Yeah, it's a good point. One of the things they have done is they haven't actually come to us to ask for money yet. I'm sure one day they will, but at the moment they're just alerting us to the fact that in about 3 years' time they're gonna be short. They've got enough money to build the building now. Go ahead, get it done, get the hole filled in, roof on. So from the outside, in theory, it'll look finished, but there won't be enough money to do the inside. They're looking at cutting back on scoping stuff. There's an air bridge that's been taken out and different things. They're working very hard to do that, but it is still short. They were always short right from the start. They never had the full amount, but they're still fundraising and going to possibly talk to the government, I think. Whether they get some money out of them or not is a different story.
$40 million budget blowout, though. Honestly, if and as you know, working in the private sector or having worked in the private sector, if you can't get to your budgets and you blow up by $40 million, you'll probably be fired and you get a new project manager.
Yeah, one of the joys, and I'm not defending anything, but one of the joys around there was that our old friend asbestos, every time they dug a hole in the old Robert McDougall Art Gallery, they found more and more asbestos, and that has cost a lot of money to get it sorted. And I understand they're having some difficulties in the ground with an underground river or something. A lot of water coming in into the excavation that they're doing. So that's under control. They've got it sorted, but it is taking a lot of time and effort and money to get that bit done.
Should the council step in eventually and cover the costs?
Well, as you know, there's an Act of Parliament. There's us, Hiranui, Selwyn, Waimak, all contribute, by far the biggest contributor to the museum levy. He can collect it, and then it all gets given to the museum. So we're still doing that, and that's roughly around about I think it's about $12 million a year. So they're still getting that anyway, as of right. So we're still funding it in that department.
Okay, but the chance of funding this additional shortfall of $40 million directly from council is a long wish that won't be desired?
I think you're reading my mind there. To be fair, they haven't come to it. All they've done is come to it and said, look, we've got some trouble coming at us in about 3 years' time. We're just letting you know. They haven't asked for any dough. They're going to go around and look and see if they can get some money somewhere else and what have you. And we'll see what happens. But it's still a long way off. But I'm happy that they've told us that they've got a problem coming early rather than being painted into a corner.
If you were painted into a corner, what would happen then? Is there a chance the museum, do you think, from what we know in public, could be mothballed like the Cathedral?
It depends. Yeah, well, good question. It depends whether what the appetite is for funding it going forward.
The appetite from the public or the appetite from councillors?
Well, both for that matter. Well, public pay us. We collect the levy, and we then pass the levy on to the board. But if there's any extra money, you'd have to consult it. It's actually a minefield, but it's 3 years away at this stage. So let's just get on with it, get it shelled up and finished. So on the outside, it looks all completely done, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Okay. Despite public opposition, a community board has recommended keeping bus lanes on Cranford Street. Phil, is this a case of ignoring public sentiment again?
Cranford Street. 3.5 years ago, I was sitting at a council meeting and council staff wanted to do clearways. NZTA wanted to do clearways. And I actually feel like I was conned back then. We were told that we were going to do a bus lane trial for 3 months. It has turned, and I go, oh, well, it's 3 months. We're going to get some data. Let's try it. So I did vote for doing the trial. And lo and behold, the trial is now 3 years old. It's gone out to the public. The public have said we would rather a clearway back again. The staff advice was a clearway. The community board decided not to, and it's coming to us to decide on whether we have a bus lane or a T2 lane. We could if we had the numbers around the table, if the numbers were around the table, to send it back to the community board and say we're not happy, think about it again. This is daft because it's actually a metropolitan's problem. It's a metropolitan problem. So it affects a lot of people. It's not just the people in that street.
You say you feel like you've been conned. Who by and why?
Well, way back in the day, 3 years ago, there was a group of councillors who at that stage said, well, we'll just put it out for a trial. And you think, and I was green as a grass back then, and you go, oh, well, trial, that's all cool. So we did the trial against advice of staff and the NZTA, but it's the thin end of the wedge, and all of a sudden you've got a trial that is like, say, the Cycleway and Ferry Road coming into town. That was take the likes of Gloucester Street. That was a trial, and all of a sudden it becomes permanent. So in my view, I think that we should actually put a clearway in there for 3 years to get data, and then we can throw the data against the data we had for the bus lane, and then we can make a decision.
You're saying the council staff are essentially making these trials predetermined in the first place, aren't you? Let's be honest about it.
Oh, no. To be fair, the staff way back in the day...
the staff, the staff there, let's be honest, the staff have a green ideology. They've been told that we're all going to die if we have too many cars. We need to have more cycleways. Let's put a trial in. The staff were giving out consultation pamphlets when they decided to put a party on Gloucester Street saying, what do you think about Gloucester Street being pedestrianised? Come on, the council staff members there, let's be honest, they already make up their mind, Phil.
No, I've got to be fair to staff. Way back in the day, 3 years ago, staff said we'd like a clearway on Cranford Street. It was the council laws.
Yeah, I understand that, but you get the sentiment I'm saying, though.
Yeah, but staff did not push for a bus lane in Cranford Street way back.
Yes. In that instance, they didn't. So once again, as some councillors have suggested, this sort of speaks to the fact that why bother having consultation when it doesn't really matter because, the public don't get their say. I mean, at that meeting, Pauline Cotter said consultation is not a vote. It's not a numbers game. What did you make of that perspective?
It's here we are trying to get trust of the ratepayers, and you're right. We say, well, we'll go for consultation. If we're not going to listen to the consultation, why do we bother doing it? Because people just walk away and go, well, it's a waste of bloody time. Why did I even bother? So we've got to be more upfront and transparent.
What's the latest with the mothballed cathedral now? I mean, has it received all the promised council funds, and what is happening with that special levy now?
The levy was started up prior to me, which I've got no problem with.
Yes, that's right. That was the levy that Leanne Dalzell instituted, despite the fact that nobody wanted it, and the majority of. I just want to, let's do a bit of history lesson for those unaware. So at the time, it was Mayor Leanne Dalzell who pushed for the $10 million public funds to go to the cathedral, despite the fact the majority of submitters said no. So Leanne Dalzell, in her wisdom, wanted that. So where are we at with that, Phil?
So what we got is it's $10 million. We've collected around about $7 over the years up to this point. We have given them about a year ago, we gave them $3 million of that, the money that had been collected. The money that's been collected is a targeted rate. It's of $6.50 a year, which you can say is not a lot. It's quite strange. I've had people come to me and say, I'd rather pay $65 a year because I'd like to see it finished. I can't make that decision. You'd have to go out and do it as a consultation. It's fraught with danger. Some people are absolutely against it. Some people are for it. God knows what will happen. But one of the things I was tossing around in my head the other day is now that the cathedral's on pause, or mothballed is the word you're saying, is how's about we stop collecting that targeted rate now and leave the money that we have collected, put it in the bank, and the interest and just let all the interest start compounding in that fund that's there, which is damn near a similar amount. And then we can reduce rates by a small amount, because if we don't start reducing rates in this annual plan time, we are going to be in deep strife.
Not a bad idea. Have you sounded anybody else out with this idea?
Oh, it's just... we're just bouncing it around. It's a way we do an annual plan at the moment. It might be a way to help lower the annual plan cost going forward. And then, as I say, the money, we won't spend the money. The cathedral money, it'll sit in the bank account and collect interest.
Would it collect much interest though, and enough interest, do you think, though, to fully try and eventually subsidise this thing, or not really? And could we use those funds, if we have to, for something else?
Oh no, well, it's been, whether people like it or not, it's been collected for that reason.
Yeah.
So it's because it's been mothballed. Why are we still collecting money for it? Let's hi ho on that. It will save rates, and then, as I say, don't ring fence that money